अगर आपको याद होगा, my biggest problem with PS1 was its lack of coherence for people who were not familiar with Kalki's 1955 novel. इस वाली के लिए होमवर्क करके गई थी मैं सब कैरेक्टर्स के नाम और फैमिली ट्री रट कर, एंड बॉय एम आई ग्लैड आई डिड. Hey all, my name is Sucharita. Welcome to my channel, जहां हम फिल्मों की और शोज की समीक्षा करते हैं. Occasionally we speak with the makers as well. Today we are talking about Mani Ratnam's Ponniyin Selvan 2, now in movie theaters. Picking up right where the last one left off, Prince Arunmozhi is assumed lost at sea, but in a display of short-lived dramatic irony, audience को पता है that he survives, क्योंकि उनका ship crash apparently वहीं हुआ जहां an old woman lived, saw the ship go down and saved him from near certain death. राजकुमार के मरने की गलत खबर फैलती है and empires begin to get agitated. Now what? Now what? In the interim, Vallavarian, the messenger warrior, now has to make the same journey back to Tanjavur जो पहले ही made down to Sri Lanka to get the siblings together. Now he's got to travel back and relay the information of Arunmozhi actually being alive and recovering. Who was the mysterious woman with the long grey hair though? Kyun Nandini, the queen of Pandava, wants revenge on the elder prince Aditha so bad? Will Shobhita Dhulipala get to speak this time? Watch the movie and find out.
அருண்மொழியின் மரணச் செய்தி கேட்டு மதம் பிடித்த யானை போல் கிளம்பி வந்து கொண்டிருப்பான்.
What had thrown me off in the first one, as someone entirely familiar with the source material, was the missing presence of the titular character Ponniyin Selvan. Well, after the interval point had come and gone, the characters, their backgrounds and motivations began to make sense, and I managed to grip onto something in that stormy movie. Here, that problem doesn't present itself. Perhaps because now we're more familiar with the landscape, or maybe because part 2 ka screenplay is more straightforward and rotates primarily around Nandini, absorbing the proceedings and running along with Karthi became easier.
கரிகாலன் கடம்பூரில் கைகளால் கொல்லப்படுவார்.
கரிகாலன் கடம்பூருக்கு வருவார் என்ன நிச்சயம்?
வரச் சொல்லியது நான்.
It's the Dune problem. If you haven't read the expansive book, you cannot afford to miss a single detail, not one frame, especially if you're not a Tamil speaker. Subtitles को उतनी rapt attention चाहिए जब तक you don't start actually believing you're understanding what the characters are saying. Let yourself sink into this film, then cinematographer Ravi Varman, costume designer Eka Lakhani's well-researched outfits, Tota Tarani's expansive art direction, and Aishwarya Rai Bachchan's pretty much everything won't let you escape, provided you're caught up on everything so far. In part 2, nearly every man is besotted with Nandini, even more so than the first one. To Mani Ratnam's credit, he takes the source material and ensures the lead female character doesn't get reduced to a femme fatale with a murderous agenda. Nandini और Aditha के बचपन में जाके story का origin पता चलता है, and even when every man who lays an eye on Nandini immediately loses his mind and heart to her, she holds her own. Aware that in a world where women aren't allowed to succeed to thrones, she's going to have to weaponize her weakness, her gender, using it to attack and conquer when she can and when she needs to. In one scene, Pandava warrior Ravidasan, played by an incredible Kishore who you'll remember from Kantara, says to Nandini, "If you fail, we'll have to step in." Nandini takes a beat, leans in closer and says, "If there is something I cannot do, then it certainly will be beyond you." Which is the level of confidence I've aspired to my whole life. Nandini koi agar chillaye aise, "Nandini! Thanks to Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam," you cannot imagine anyone but Aishwarya Rai running through giant Havelis, her long pallu on fire. But in this one scene, right after this dialogue takes place, the actor is simply exceptional, setting the highest benchmark for on-screen chemistry. Her and Vikram participate in a dark dance of death of sorts, neither of them knowing where this meeting is going to take them, how the next few minutes are going to culminate. In an outlandish movie about kings and battles and a prince who can seemingly talk to elephants, yeah, this scene takes you to the very center of its soul. A love story not allowed to come to fruition, a woman who knows what she wants and a prince who doesn't. When Aditha says, "Happiness and peace elude those who hate themselves," a wall shatters, a mirage breaks, and you understand why this story means so much to so many people. And hence, after this, I was prepared for a rousing climax. Take this emotion I have welled up in my throat and bring me to ecstasy. Alas, ecstatic I was not. A large-scale climactic battle is fought between Ponniyin Selvan and an army of Rashtrakutas for reasons I would explain as, for the lack of a more sophisticated word, silly. Sure, misunderstandings can give way to strife, but when you see powerful grown men refusing to not just listen to reason but also each other, you don't feel their machismo dripping alongside sweat beads. It just comes off as petulant and silly. Offset with the scheming Nandini who slinks in the shadows in the most aesthetic ways. Barring Aditha, the men of this universe aren't granted much finesse. The screenplay also doesn't quite manage to capitalize on the sibling reunion it had been building up toward. When Aditha, Ponniyin Selvan and Kundavai actually do meet, the potential to turn that moment into something bigger than the movie was right there, unfortunately sacrificed abruptly in a rush to start moving again, set out on a relentless, seemingly endless journey from empire to empire. Thankfully, A. Shrikar Prasad's efficient editing does ensure the long runtime doesn't tire you out and the movie feels like a history lesson told through fast-paced, moving images, which is fun.
கொடுத்த காரியத்தை முடித்து விட்டாய் தோழா. வானர் பரம்பரை சுத்த வீர பரம்பரை.
Now, to answer my initial question, yes, Sobita Dhulipala does get to talk, but unless I'm mistaken, it's only in one scene. As incredible as Trisha looks as Kundavai, her character is treated like a side note only. The film isn't interested in figuring her out, it treats her like a confused teenager for the most part. Jayam, Ravi, Prakash Raj, being the able performers they are firing on all cylinders. Jayam Ravi gets ample cinematic slow motion battle shots with dust swirling around him as a bloody sword declares the job is done. I suspect I enjoyed Ponniyin Selvan too because I was determined to. Mani Ratnam's world may not be Disneyland, easy and cheerful, but it certainly is an amusement park meant to exhilarate, if sometimes overwhelm you, with its sheer size and sound. Buy a ticket, let the rides teach you how to enjoy them.
சோழ நாட்டை பிரித்து கொடுக்க வேண்டும். பெற்ற தாயின் ஒரு மார்பை வெட்டி எடுத்துக் கொள் என்கிறீர்கள்.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, Ponniyin Selvan is one more climactic twist involving a character you probably have close to zero investment in so far was frustrating. I don't know. You watch the movie and tell me in the comments aapko kya laga. Subscribe to my channel right here before you leave. Click on my face if it pops up. My name is Sucharita. Thank you for stopping by.